Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Abhilash. I am a consultant general laparoscopic surgeon and I am from Chennai basically, and I am practicing in OMR. So since my specialty is general and laparoscopic surgery, I am here today to talk about a common topic which many of you might be knowing already. It is called the hernia. So one of the commonest topics is hernia because we see this hernia routinely on a day-to-day practice, and many patients, they might be already knowing about this topic, and they might have their friends or their relatives suffering from this, or they themselves might be having the same problem, and they will have a lots of doubts, and they might be also having a lot of myths, not knowing whether it's true or not about the hernia. So we'll see in depth about the hernia topic today. And first of all, you need to know what is a hernia. So basically it is a small defect or a gap in your abdomen wall muscles. Okay, because of this gap there is protrusion of the contents from inside the abdomen through this gap. So either it could be your small intestines, or it could be a large intestine, or sometimes there is something called as an omentum, which is a fatty tissue inside your abdomen which can protrude through this small gap, and this can present as a hernia. In very rare cases, you might also have your urinary bladder protruding through this. So there are different types of hernias. So what we can do is, we will classify the hernias, we will see one by one, and we will see the treatment for each of the hernias. Okay. So the most commonest type of hernia which we encounter on a routine practice is called the inguinal hernia. So inguinal, you must be knowing what is this term inguinal. Inguinal is basically your groin region. So where your abdomen meets the thigh, this region is called the inguinal region, and there is a small canal called the inguinal canal lying in this region. So any hernia occurring through this inguinal canal is called the inguinal hernia. So who are the patients who can develop an inguinal hernia? It is actually commonly seen both in children as well as in adults, and any age group, even the young adults as well as the elderly people. In children, when this hernia occurs, it is mostly congenital. Congenital means this hernia is there present right from birth. How does this hernia occur? Basically what happens is, when the child is inside the mother's womb, the testis which forms inside the abdomen, they slowly descend and they reach the scrotum. So this inguinal canal is the passage through which this testis is going to reach your scrotum at the time of birth. In many children, what happens, this passage they slowly obliterate and they are supposed to close normally, but in some children they do not close completely, leaving a small gap. So following the same gap, the contents from inside the abdomen will also start coming outside, and this is known as the inguinal hernia. So depending upon the contents, it can be a omentocele if the omentum is the content, or if the bowel or the small or large intestine is the content, it can be an enterocele. So children, they will present commonly with a swelling in the groin region. The parents will notice a swelling right from birth, or they might start gradually noticing it once the child starts walking and moving around. When they start playing, they might notice a swelling in the groin region, or it can be a swelling which can reach up to the scrotum. So the primary complaint is going to be a swelling, and they will not have a pain usually, which is a rare case when it is going to become complicated. So what is the treatment for this congenital hernia? Definitely it is going to be surgery, because some people might think the child might develop and this hernia might automatically disappear when the child is growing with age, but it is unlikely in the case of an inguinal hernia, because this hernia has to be definitely operated, because over a period of time the child is going to strain more or do more work, and as a result of this the hernia can possibly become bigger and bigger rather than disappearing. So the children will most likely will require a surgery. The surgery can be either a laparoscopic surgery or it can be an open surgery. Laparoscopic can be done if the child is quite big enough to undergo a laparoscopic case, and otherwise open surgery is the option. What do they do in a surgery? As I told, there is a small gap which is supposed to close automatically when the child is born, but these children having a hernia, this gap is not closed completely. So what happens is, there is some sac called as a processus vaginalis. So this sac is still lying over there and it is not going to close by itself. So by surgery, they open the layers of the abdomen and they identify the sac, and they completely tie the sac and seal the sac, so that the hernia does not come back again. So this is the surgery done for the children. Because the children are going to develop, we normally do not use a mesh in case of a congenital hernia. The same hernia, it can happen in adolescent age group or even in young adults. These people, the problem is the hernia must have initially been there, but they might have not noticed a swelling in the younger age group. But once they become slightly bigger kids or they become young adults, when they start doing activities, when they start lifting weights or they start straining, this gap becomes bigger and then the hernia becomes evident as a swelling. So, at that time they might come for the treatment. So, these people are also benefited basically by surgery. So, surgery, as I told you, it can be done either by an open surgery or laparoscopic surgery. Open surgery has been done for several years by conventional techniques, but with recent advancements of laparoscopy, this hernia can also be treated comfortably by laparoscopic surgery. If you ask me the differences or the benefits between the open and laparoscopic case, I would always recommend a laparoscopic surgery because the post surgery pain relief is going to be very good. The patient who is having a severe pain post surgery because of an open surgery will almost have only 20% of the same pain in case of a laparoscopic surgery. So, the recovery is going to be very quick and the child is not going to have any scars in that region because we are going to do it through a small hole called the keyhole or the laparoscopic surgery. Definitely laparoscopic surgery is going to have its advantage compared to open surgery, but the overall outcome, the benefit of the surgery is it has to prevent the hernia from coming back again. So, this is well achieved both by open as well as laparoscopic surgeries. So, there are certain precautions to be taken following the surgery, which I will come to at a later point of time. Okay. After the inguinal hernia, next we move on to a different hernia which we call as a umbilical hernia or a paraumbilical hernia. This umbilical hernia is also sometimes seen in kids because the belly button is your umbilical region. So, this belly button, when the mother's umbilical cord is clamped and cut, many children might not have this umbilicus completely sealed off at the time of birth. So, slowly this hole completely closes and most of them the hernia disappears completely. What happens is when they become adults, especially in women, when they become pregnant, there is a possibility of the abdomen becoming big and there is going to be a small gap which is going to develop at the level of the umbilicus, because that is the area of the fusion of all the muscles of your abdomen. You have around 4 muscles called the external oblique, the internal oblique, the transverse abdominis and the rectus abdominis. So, the umbilicus or the belly button is your meeting point of all these muscles. It does a line of fusion called as the linea alba. Since this is the line of fusion is the weak spot, most of the hernias which can develop in elderly people can be at this around the belly button region. So, when the woman becomes pregnant, the abdomen is going to stretch and it's going to enlarge to enormous size, and because of this there is a small gap which is going to develop around your umbilical region. This we call it as your umbilical or paraumbilical hernia. This can also happen in male patients, but males, the predominant cause for your umbilical hernia is going to be obesity. So, obesity, especially the truncal obesity, when their bellies are going to enlarge to a certain size, then the gap develops around the umbilicus. And also patients who have got liver failure, they can develop accumulation of fluid inside the abdomen called as ascites. So, liver failure patients are also commonly prone to develop this umbilical or paraumbilical hernia. So, the primary symptom is going to be a swelling around your belly button or your umbilicus, and patient might have pain or might not have pain, and as the patient presents to you, you assess the patient, and depending upon the size of the hernia and the nature of the belly button, you can decide whether the patient will suit well for an open surgery or a laparoscopic surgery, as I said before. So, open surgery is a routine surgery done, and in certain cases if the umbilical hernia is huge, the skin of the belly button is stretched so much that it becomes dark in color. So, this skin is not going to survive sometimes after a surgery. So, most of the time in such cases we recommend open surgery for such a discolored belly button, but in other routine cases they are more suitable for laparoscopic surgeries. So, laparoscopic surgery is slightly different in cases of umbilical or paraumbilical hernias, because the mesh we are going to use to repair these hernias are going to be kept inside the abdomen. So, whenever you put a mesh inside your abdomen, there is a high chances that your intestines and other structures are going to get stuck to the mesh completely. So, there is a different mesh which we use for laparoscopic surgeries in cases of umbilical hernia. This mesh is called a composite mesh. So, this mesh has got a special biofilm coating to prevent the intestines or other structures from getting stuck to the mesh, so that the patient does not develop any complications related to that. So, in view of the composite mesh being used, and the procedure of laparoscopic surgery might be slightly expensive compared to an open surgery or a conventional surgery. And coming to the next type of hernia, which is called the incisional hernia, that is another common hernia, as the term incision means any previous surgery. So, any patient who has undergone a previous surgery in the abdomen, it could be any surgery, it could be a major open laparotomy where they entirely open the abdomen and close it for any case of an emergency, or it can be an appendix surgery, or it can be a C-section for the women, or it can be a gallbladder removal surgery. So, any kind of surgery that is done in the abdomen, you will have an incision. So, that scar site, patients can develop hernia in future, that is known as incisional hernia, since it occurs through the incision site. So, the cause for an incisional hernia could be because the patient must have strained following the surgery, which must have resulted in the muscles becoming weak and the stitches giving away, causing the bowel contents to come out through the gap. Or there is another possibility, with age the muscles become weak generally, and because of this effect the patient is going to have developed a incisional hernia. So, incisional hernias can be of various sizes. They can vary from a very small hernia to as big as the entire abdomen contents, almost 80% of your abdominal contents lying inside the hernia, which is called as loss of domain. So, this kind of huge hernias will not only require a regular hernia surgery, but sometimes because of the entire big size of the belly, patients might also benefit by doing a procedure called as abdominoplasty. So, abdominoplasty is simply known as tummy tuck procedure, that is the common term which we use. So, women especially who have got a huge abdomen, especially they lose their muscle tone after a pregnancy, they do not exercise properly after the pregnancy, they might have a huge sagging belly with a big hernia, and these patients will better benefit by an open surgery where we can correct the hernia as well as placate the muscles, and we can do a tummy tuck procedure which is called as the abdominoplasty. So, these patients will benefit better with an open surgery. And small incisional hernias, as I told, similar to a paraumbilical or an umbilical hernia, these patients can also have a laparoscopic surgery. So, the main difference between this open surgery and laparoscopic surgery as far as incisional hernia is concerned, the defect size, the opening size, they need to be repaired primarily before keeping the mesh on top. So, a small defect which is about 3 to 4 centimeters can be left alone, but usually a defect size which is bigger than those sizes are definitely going to be repaired first primarily by closing them with sutures, and on top of that you are going to keep the mesh. Usually the bigger hernias, as I said, they are a better option for open surgery, but with recent advancement in laparoscopy there are many procedures, something like TAR or E-TEP and Reeves Topa repair. There are multiple techniques and advancements with laparoscopic surgery. Even big hernias can also be managed by laparoscopy in cost effective means. Finishing the common hernias, as I told before, there are other possible hernias which is called femoral hernia, which can occur in your thigh region. It is a very unusual site because there is a small canal called the femoral canal through which these hernias might occur, and this is specifically seen very commonly in female patients. And other uncommon hernias like epigastric hernias are there, lumbar hernias are there, then spigelian hernias are there, but these are not the routine hernias which we see in day to day practice. So, patients have got certain doubts, they have certain myths concerning the hernia treatment, because many think that the hernias might get better without any surgery and they can just live with the hernia throughout their life, but sometimes there are certain complications which can occur in the hernia. So, as I told before, depending upon the contents, the hernias, either it can be the omentum or the intestines or bladder. So, these intestines sometimes can get stuck inside the hernia, which might lead to something called as an intestinal obstruction. So, the bowels can get blocked, as a result of which the patient might not be able to pass stools, or the patient might not be able to pass gas, and they will be having huge abdomen distension with severe vomiting. So, this is basically a surgical emergency. So, when the intestines stuck inside the hernia get blocked, you need to operate immediately, and if these patients, they do not seek the doctor on time, these hernias, they go in for something next known as a strangulation. So, as the intestines get stuck inside, they start to swell up in size. Once the swelling increases more and more, the blood supply to the intestines are going to get cut off. So, once the blood supply is cut off, the entire intestine can become gangrenous. Gangrene means basically death of tissue. So, they become discolored black and they can become gangrenous, which can become a life threatening complications. So, whenever there is a complication, usually the choice of surgery will most likely be on open surgery, and sometimes when there is an evidence of infection in these patients, laparoscopic surgery might not be feasible. And also in open surgery, we might sometimes tend to avoid keeping a mesh because of the contamination. Okay. So, whenever there is a possible role for contamination, we try to avoid putting a mesh. The mesh is very important because the mesh is going to form the framework, like how when constructing a building they keep iron rods and on top of that they put the concrete. So, the mesh is going to form your framework. So, the main framework is given by the mesh, on top of which the body is going to form a fibrotic layer on top and bottom, and the mesh is going to act like a new muscle layer as well as giving a support to prevent the recurrence of the hernia. So, mesh is of very much importance and utmost importance, and the patient is definitely going to require a mesh in order to prevent the hernia from recurring. So, as I told, if the patient is coming in a strangulation, we end up removing a small portion of your intestines or something like that, the patient will not be able to hold a mesh, and the possible potential of mesh infection or mesh contamination is always there. So, whenever this mesh infection happens, the patient is going to have severe pus discharge from the wound site, and we are going to end up removing the mesh. Since it is a foreign body kept inside, it can no longer be there inside, and we are supposed to remove the mesh. That is why in certain patients in suspicion of contamination, we avoid putting a mesh. So, in order to avoid such complications, it is always advised the patient gets operated as early as possible at a convenient time, because these emergencies occur at the time of least expected time. So, always better to get operated on time to save future problems. And another myth is patient thinks that doing some exercises or yoga or certain things might improve their hernia or the hernia might disappear, because as I told earlier, it is a gap in the muscle. So, the more you are going to strain the muscle, the gap is going to become bigger and bigger. So, normal thing which we recommend the patients or we advise the patients is, whenever they have a hernia, we tell them not to strain, not to lift weights, or not to do any kind of exercises that can further aggravate the hernia. So, people doing some kind of exercises, they can come in with complications. So, the normal myth is this hernia is not going to go away with any kind of yoga or exercises. They will definitely require surgery, and they are supposed to avoid such exercises in order to avoid complications. People also keep asking if there are any medicines to cure the hernias, because this is a physical gap, there is a defect there. So, this gap cannot close automatically with the help of medicines. So, surgery is going to be the mainstay of treatment. As I already told, the laparoscopic surgery is evolved, and because of the advancements, patient can get better faster, and they can resume their routine activities at a much faster rate. So, always better to get operated on time. When it comes to surgery, sometimes we ask the patients whether they have plans of any future surgery potentially, because once we keep a mesh in the abdomen, it is going to be difficult to get into the abdomen after a previous hernia surgery. So, the mesh is going to be intervening, and future surgeries in the abdomen is going to be definitely challenging and difficult. And also in women who are planning for future pregnancies, we advise or we recommend them not to undergo the surgery right away, because the surgery is going to be of no use once the woman is going to become pregnant once again, and the abdomen is going to stretch to enormous size once more, and the mesh is of no use that time, and definitely the hernia is going to recur again. So, when women who are already having a hernia and in future they are planning for a pregnancy, we recommend them to wait till they complete their next pregnancy, and we combine the surgery post pregnancy time. And also in patients who are physically not fit for a surgery, especially very old people who have multiple health issues like cardiac problems or neuro related problems or lung related problems. These patients who are not fit for a surgery, we recommend these patients to avoid undergoing a surgery unless until it is a dire necessity, because these patients they will not benefit by the surgery, because the health risk is going to be more, and we recommend them whenever there is an emergency, but we tell them not to prolong anymore, and we are going to do the surgery by undertaking a risky consent. And for laparoscopic surgeries, the anesthesia choice is always going to be a general anesthesia, and open surgeries are commonly done under spinal anesthesia. So, the patient factor which might also attribute to the choice of treatment is going to be whether the lungs are good enough to undergo general anesthesia or not. So, people having chronic lung diseases like asthma or COPD, these patients they have a high risk of general anesthesia. So, in these patients we will try to avoid a laparoscopic surgery and instead we offer them an open surgery. The patients, once they undergo a hernia surgery, there are certain restrictions to be followed. So, these patients it applies both equally to open as well as laparoscopic surgery. The patients can resume their routine work like getting up, walking and climbing staircases and doing their daily day-to-day activities. There are no restrictions in those activities. But patients who wants to do a small amount of exercises like a simple cycling or a jogging, they might have to wait at least for a period of 2 weeks before they again go for resuming their regular physical activity. And patients who are already into sports activities or they are going to gymnasiums to work out, we tell these patients to avoid such severe sports activities or gym activities for at least a period of 3 months. So, 3 months is the cutoff time before which the mesh gets fully fibrosed. Once they complete that period of time, then they can resume any kind of physical work and there are no restrictions in these patients. There are simple restrictions in their day-to-day home routines, something like patients who are routinely using the Indian commode, we advise them not to sit on the floor, squat and get up after the surgery. So, we recommend them to use a Western commode. And patients who are routinely have the habit of sitting on the floor, we tell them not to sit on the floor and always prefer to sit on a sofa or a couch or a bench. So, sitting in floors and getting up should also be avoided in order to avoid straining following the surgery. And patients who wants to drive cars or two-wheelers are definitely welcome to do these activities after a period of minimum of 1 week duration. I think you must have got a good amount of information about hernias and various surgeries so far by now. And if you are already suffering from hernia or if you know patient or a family or a friend who is suffering from hernia, do recommend them to get operated as early as possible and do warn them or give them an awareness about the complications of hernia. And I will see you soon in the next video. Thank you.